Have you ever been talking to a chatbot and had that moment where you think, whoa, this thing actually gets me? Well, that little bit of magic comes from a part of AI that's been around for decades. But lately, you hear these two terms getting thrown around all the time, sometimes as if they're the same thing: NLP and LLMs. So what are they really? And what is the actual difference? Let's break it all down.
And it's a totally fair question because honestly, it can be super confusing. You've got NLP, which sounds like the foundation of all this language stuff, and then you've got LLMs, which are powering these incredible tools like ChatGPT that we're all using. So are they competing against each other? Is one just, the 2.0 version of the other? That's exactly what we're going to clear up right here.
Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the bedrock. Before we had AI that could write you a poem or debug your code, we had the field of natural language processing, or NLP. And for decades, this has been the grand quest, trying to teach computers how to read and, crucially, understand human language.
A good way to think about classic NLP is to picture it as a strict grammarian, or maybe a translator. Its whole job is to take our messy, chaotic, beautiful human language and break it down into a structured format that a machine can actually work with. It's all about applying rules, linguistics, and statistics to make sense of text. And you've been using this stuff for years, probably without even realizing it. That spam filter in your email that catches all the junk? Yep, that's NLP doing its thing, classifying text. That little red squiggly line from your spell checker? Also NLP. And businesses use it for all sorts of things, like analyzing customer reviews to see if they're positive or negative, or even screening resumes. These are all very specific, analytical jobs. So the key thing to get here is how it works. Classic NLP is kind of like an architect that has to follow a very specific blueprint. It's a structured, step-by-step process. First, it breaks sentences down into individual words or tokens. Then, it might reduce words to their root form. So, running and ran both become run. It tags every word as a noun, a verb, an adjective, and so on. And then, it applies a set of rules to analyze that structure. It's super effective for certain tasks, but it's also pretty rigid. And then, well, everything changed. A totally new way of doing things came along. One that didn't just analyze language, but could actually generate it. And this, my friends, was the rise of large language models, or LLMs. This is what kicked off the massive AI boom that we're all living through right now. The big breakthrough moment really happened in 2017. Researchers at Google published this game-changing paper with an amazing title, "Attention is All You Need." And it introduced something called the transformer architecture. This was a revolutionary new way for models to figure out which words in a sentence were the most important. And that architecture, it's the engine inside pretty much every modern LLM we have today, from Google's BERT to the GPT series from OpenAI. So why do we call them large language models? Well, this number right here kind of says it all. That's 175 billion. That's how many parameters were in the GPT-3 model from 2020. You can think of a parameter as a tiny knob that the model can tune as it learns patterns from text. Having this many knobs and training them on basically the entire internet is what gives LLMs their incredible power. But here's the wild part. For all that complexity, the core idea is surprisingly simple. An LLM isn't thinking or understanding the way we do. At its heart, it's a prediction engine. After looking at trillions of words, it has gotten unbelievably good at just one thing: predicting which word is most likely to come next in any given sentence. Let's try it out. Go ahead, finish that sentence in your head. Riley got down on one knee and proposed to Sam. Sam said, "Did you think yes?" Of course you did. Your brain just did exactly what an LLM does. It took all the context, the proposal, the knee, and it predicted the most statistically probable next word. The LLM just does that over and over and over again, one word at a time, to string together whole paragraphs that sound incredibly human. And the improvement in performance is just staggering. In AI, there's a metric called perplexity, which measures how uncertain a model is about its predictions. Lower is better. So think of it like this. To guess the next word, a classic NLP model is like rolling a 110-sided die. It's really, really uncertain. But a modern LLM,
It's like rolling a 20-sided die. That is a massive leap forward. And just look how close it's getting to us humans, who operate at about the level of a 12-sided die.
All right, so we've met the old guard, the structured, rule-following NLP. And we've met the new kid on the block, the predictive powerhouse LLM. Now let's put them head-to-head to really hammer home the differences.
Okay, looking at this, the differences are pretty stark. Let's start with the goal. Classic NLP is built to do one specific task: analyze and extract. An LLM, on the other hand, is a general-purpose tool for generating and predicting. A lot of that comes down to their diet. NLP is trained on smaller, carefully labeled sets of data. LLMs are trained on, well, the internet. Their whole architecture is different, going from rules and statistics to that deep learning transformer model. This gives them a huge context window. An LLM can remember thousands of words from your conversation, where an older model might forget what you said a sentence ago. And finally, and this is a big one, interpretability. Classic NLP is deterministic. You can see the rules it's following. An LLM is what we call a black box. It's probabilistic, and not even its own creators can tell you exactly why it gave one answer instead of another.
But here's the thing. This isn't a story about one thing replacing another. It's a story about evolution. LLMs are not killing off NLP. In fact, LLMs are technically a subfield of NLP, and they're being used to supercharge all those classic NLP tasks, making them way more powerful and nuanced than they ever were before.
Summarization is the perfect example to show this. A classic NLP system would do what's called extractive summarization. It literally just finds what it thinks are the most important sentences and pulls them out. It's basically a copy and paste job. But an LLM can do abstractive summarization. It reads the whole text, understands the actual meaning behind it, and then writes a brand new summary in its own words, just like a person would. The difference in quality is just night and day.
So at the end of the day, why does this distinction actually matter to you? It matters because understanding the difference between simply analyzing language and truly generating it is the key to understanding the AI tools that are completely reshaping our world, from how we get information to how we do our jobs.
So let's boil it all down. If you remember one thing, make it this. LLMs are a powerful new development within the bigger field of NLP. They're not a replacement. The giant leap forward was moving from just analyzing language to being able to generate it fluently. And that huge shift was powered by the transformer architecture and just enormous amounts of data. This is the engine behind the whole generative AI boom we're seeing. But of course, with great power comes new challenges like models making things up or hallucinating, reflecting biases from their training data, and creating brand new security headaches.
And that kind of leaves us with this one last pretty wild idea to chew on. Because LLMs are such a black box, some of the researchers who build them have started to describe them as a kind of alien intelligence. They say the helpful, human-like answers we get might just be a smiling facade that's been trained on top of this vast, unknowable system whose actual thought process is nothing like our own. It's a powerful reminder that as incredible as these tools are becoming, we are still right at the beginning of understanding what's truly going on inside.